In 1896, a British author published a book that sent England into a panic. The title? Made in Germany. Not a war manual, not a military threat assessment, a book about kitchen utensils. Because German steel was flooding British markets, undercutting prices, and the empire that ruled a quarter of the globe suddenly realized they couldn't compete with their own products anymore. 18 years later, those two nations were at war. In 1987, two U.S. congressmen took sledgehammers to a Toshiba radio on the steps of the Capitol building. The crime? Japan made better electronics for less money. The punishment? Economic strangulation through currency manipulation. 4 years later, Japan entered a lost decade it never escaped. Today, Janet Yellen stands in front of cameras and coins a new phrase: global overcapacity. Translation? China builds things too efficiently, and we can't allow that. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes through the same algorithm, and we're watching the final verse play out in real time. The script is always the same. A dominant power gets comfortable. It outsources manufacturing, prints money, finances the world, and calls it progress. Then a rising rival does something unforgivable. They produce better and cheaper. The hegemon doesn't see this as innovation. They see it as a declaration of war. Britain didn't hate German engineering because it was bad. They hated it because it was good. Because Made in Germany started as a British law designed to humiliate inferior goods. And within a decade, it became a global badge of quality. German steel, German chemicals, German optics. The factories of Manchester couldn't keep up, so the financiers of London tried to choke the supply. They failed. Steel production is physical. You can't tariff your way out of thermodynamics. So Britain pivoted. They stopped trying to compete on production and started weaponizing the thing they still controlled, the currency. The pound sterling was the world's reserve. If you wanted to trade globally, you cleared through London. And when Germany kept growing anyway, the pressure built until the system snapped. August 1914. The guns came out. Fast forward 70 years. Different continent. Same algorithm. Picture this. It's 1985, and America is bleeding. Honda and Toyota are selling cars in Detroit. Sony is selling Walkmans in New York. The trade deficit is exploding, and Reagan's advisors are panicking because the shining city on a hill is buying more than it's making. So they gathered the finance ministers of 5 nations in a hotel suite at the Plaza in New York, and they forced an agreement: devalue the dollar, inflate the yen, and make Japanese exports impossibly expensive overnight. It worked. For America. For Japan, asset bubbles, real estate mania, a stock market that tripled, then collapsed. By 1991, Japan was entering a deflationary spiral they're still trying to escape. Their crime? Making cars people wanted to buy. The pattern isn't a coincidence, it's a mechanism. When a dominant power can't compete on production, they compete on money. They control the reserve currency, so they control the ledger. And when that leverage stops working, they flip the table. Now zoom to the present. China doesn't just make your iPhone. They make the solar panels, the electric vehicles, the batteries, the rare earth magnets, the construction equipment. In 2023, their EV exports grew 77%. Not 7%, 77. And the American response? Janet Yellen invents a phrase: global overcapacity. As if efficiency is a bug, not a feature. As if producing things people want at prices they can't afford is somehow cheating. Tariffs went up, tech blockades went live. The CHIPS Act tried to onshore semiconductor production, but the machines that make the chips, still imported. From the Netherlands, built with Chinese rare earths. You can sanction the factory, but you can't sanction physics. So the escalation moves to the next stage, not trade war, currency war. In February 2022, the US and European allies froze $300 billion in Russian central bank reserves. The stated reason? Ukraine. The actual message? Your savings are only safe if you obey. Every finance minister in the global south saw that and thought the same thing. We're next. Because here's the Triffin dilemma in one sentence. To be the world's reserve currency, you must print enough dollars for everyone to trade with, which means running massive deficits, which means your own factories die. You can have a global currency or a domestic industrial base. Not both. America chose the currency. For 50 years, we exported dollars and imported goods, and it worked because everyone needed dollars to buy oil, to clear trades, to store reserves. We had the global bar tab, free drinks forever. But now, the bar staff is quitting. Gold doesn't lie. In 2022 and 2023, central banks bought more gold than any year since 1967. Not 1987, 1967. The year the London gold pool collapsed because everyone realized the US couldn't back its dollars with metal anymore. China, Poland, Singapore, India, they're swapping US treasuries for physical bullion. They're cashing out their chips before the casino changes the rules. And here's the anomaly that should terrify you. Gold hit all-time highs in 2024, while U.S. interest rates were at multi-decade peaks. That's not supposed to happen. High rates crush gold because treasuries become attractive, but gold went up anyway. The market stopped trusting the risk-free asset. They started viewing treasuries as return-free risk. Then there's the plumbing. Project M-Bridge, a pilot program between China, the UAE, Thailand, and Hong Kong to settle trade using central bank digital currencies. No correspondent banks, no SWIFT, no dollars. It's not speculation, it's infrastructure. They're building the exit ramps. In Saudi Arabia, the kingdom that signed a deal in 1974 to only sell oil and dollars in exchange for U.S. military protection, they just accepted an invitation to BRICS. They're in talks to trade oil in yuan. The petrodollar isn't dead yet, but it's writing its will. But stocks are at all-time highs. So were Weimar stocks. In 1923, German equities went parabolic. You could double your money in weeks. Then, you'd take your winnings and discover a loaf of bread cost a wheelbarrow of cash. Stocks went up, because the currency was going down. But the dollar is still king. For now, Rome's currency dominated for centuries after their economy hollowed out. The denarius was still the reserve during the collapse, because there was no alternative. Until there was. And then it wasn't a gradual decline, it was a cliff. But we're America, we have the military. And we spend more servicing our debt interest than we do funding that military. As of 2024, interest payments exceed defense spending, which means the math is simple. Print money to pay the interest, or default. There's no third option. Printing is the path of least resistance. It always is. And when you print to pay yesterday's debts, you're not building anything. You're just inflating the bar tab. This isn't a prediction, it's pattern recognition. Britain tried tariffs on Germany, didn't work. Tried currency pressure, didn't work. Escalated to kinetic war. America tried tariffs on Japan, worked temporarily, then weaponized the Plaza Accord to inflate their currency. Japan never recovered. America is trying tariffs on China, failing, weaponizing SWIFT and sanctions, accelerating the rival's exit from the dollar system. The question isn't if the pattern completes. It's how much of your purchasing power evaporates before you see it coming. So here's what you do. Diversify out of dollar-denominated assets. Not because the dollar will collapse tomorrow, but because reserve currency is a privilege, not a law of nature. And privileges get revoked. Hold physical assets. Real estate in stable jurisdictions. Commodities. Productive land. Things that don't require a government's promise to have value. Reduce leverage. Debt is a bet that your income grows faster than your interest payments. In a currency crisis, income stagnates while rates explode. Ask Argentina. Build optionality. Multiple passports if you can. Skills that travel. Revenue streams in different currencies. The ultimate hedge is mobility. Assume the bar tab comes due, not next month, but within the decade. When it does, the adjustment will be violent. Inflation, capital controls, pension haircuts. The menu of pain is long, and you won't get to choose which course you're served. Stop thinking in dollars. Start thinking in ounces of gold, barrels of oil, kilowatt hours of energy. Because currency is a claim on real resources. And when the claim gets too large relative to the resources, the claim gets diluted. Except that the system doesn't collapse. It resets. New rules, new winners. Old savings erased. In 1896, a British author panicked about German kitchen utensils. In 2024, an American Treasury Secretary panics about Chinese solar panels. The tools change. The algorithm doesn't. In 18 years. After that British book was published, Europe was a graveyard. The clock isn't counting down to war. It's counting down to the moment the world stops pretending the bar tab is payable. You won't hear the announcement. You'll just wake up one day and realize your money buys half of what it used to. The currency war is silent until it's deafening, and by then, it's too late to get out of the way.